Good morning. Happy Wednesday, May 20th. Oh my goodness. It has been a morning of opportunity. I'm just going to put it that way. It has been a morning of opportunity. Have you ever woken up in the morning and you had your morning all planned out, but then somewhere around, 30-ish minutes into the morning, you realize it has to go a completely different way? That was my today. So I am Cyndi Thompson. I am the host of the Creative Connection. I am so happy that you are here, whether it be live or on recording. And on this podcast, I take a peek at the connection between who we are living in the world and what we are drawn to, and how do we lean into creating a life that we are passionate about living. I believe that we all have at our core an essence that is driving us towards something, and sometimes we don't pay attention to it. So this month, the month of May, I have been looking at what that looks like and providing an opportunity for you to have a safe space to come into rediscovering the true essence of yourself. Today's theme is sort of springboarding off of what we did last week, which was the difference between performing and actually living our life. I caught myself maybe on Sunday for a short period of time, definitely Monday. And after our time together, Thursday and Friday of last week, I caught moments of where I was performing rather than actually being in my life. And that was the whole idea behind last week's podcast. And then the quiet space meditation that I did on Saturday just helped reshape that. And if that's something that you would like to have access to, please send me a message, DM me, go to my website, message me, go to my Facebook page, go to my LinkedIn page, say, I would like to have that meditation you did on Saturday, May 16th, so that I can take a look at what it means or how to differentiate between performing and living our life. This week's topic, you're not too late for your own life. I sit around and I sort of jot down ideas that come out of other ideas. And that was one that I think almost a year ago, right before I started this podcast, I really started circling around for myself. Am I too late for my own life and for the things that I want to do in my life? That was the question. I wonder, have you ever had that question swirl around in your head? Am I too late? Have I missed the boat? Am I too old? Am I too young? Do you use that quite a bit? Am I too? So an example of this, I'm just looking at my notes here, making sure that I'm staying on target because I know that I can get long-winded if I don't. So this idea of you're not too late for your own life has a quiet question behind it. That quiet question, I believe, is, are we doing the thing that we are drawn to doing? Are we doing our calling? Some people would say, are we living our best life? When I was a senior in high school, I was fortunate enough to be picked to speak at graduation. And the title of my speech, I remembered to this day. And I remember many of the words that I said. And it is, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Make it exceptional, make it the best. many years later. So I was 18 then. So around my 42nd birthday, I was graduating with my master's degree. I took a break between my bachelor's and my master's, and I was fortunate enough to get to speak again. And that one was about rising from the ashes of our dreams to really reconstitute who we are and to live our best life. That seems to be the theme, that whenever I have the opportunity to speak with others, that is the theme that I speak around. So this is not about finding your calling. This is about listening to that quiet, still voice that lives within all of us, is connected to the universe, the divine, the world around us. It is paying attention to the things that we are talented at and do well, and leaning into those as being something we do for two reasons. One, it becomes joyful to us. And the second reason is it has meaning for us. It has meaning for us, and that meaning ends up translating to those you're around. I was having a conversation with a woman on Monday evening. I was there to observe a class because a potential coaching client was in this person's improv class. And as we were speaking, I realized that our paths had probably crossed before. She had worked at a space that I had interviewed at when I was in my 20s. I made the decision not to work there because it didn't feel like a good fit. But then I also knew the person that was a part of the founding of the theater where we were. And as it turns out, this particular woman introduced that particular woman to her now husband, and they have had a great partnership for so many years. So you just never know in your daily life who's going to cross your path. Are they going to be offering what you need, want, desire? Are they the right person for you to connect to in that moment in time? Behind all of this, including you're not too late for your own life, is belief. Belief is an interesting thing, because there are lots of things that we believe that are not true. I am one of those that sometimes will catch myself saying something that is definitive because it is something I believe, and then realize that that belief is so not right. It so does not fit who I am. So I have learned to pause. When I want to say something, I have learned to pause. And there was a time in the last couple of weeks where I had not paused, and someone called me out on my speaking too much and told me I needed to filter myself more. And I've really been sitting with that conversation. I've been sitting with that conversation because I wondered if I was over speaking because I needed to, meaning for me, I needed to for me. Or was I so compelled because I wanted it to be correct, right, have an element of justice to it? And I'm still sitting with that. And it is bothering me. I am wondering if the particular place that this is occurring is not the right fit for me. And it's interesting because it was about 4 years ago I wondered that as well. It's my little intuition inside is saying that maybe this is not the group anymore for you. Who knows? Something to be explored. So let's talk about this idea of you're not too late for your own life and belief. So this morning, and let's see if I have my phone handy nearby. And if not, I will try and remember it. I belong to gratefulness.org. I don't see it, so I will have to go off my memory here, unless no, it's not. And every day they send out a phrase or they send out a paragraph or they send out something. And today it was about, and I'm not going to get it 100% correct. So if you are connected to my Facebook page, go to my Facebook page because I shared it there. To know that it is possible requires tolerance to uncertainty. Now, I've probably seriously paraphrased that. To know it is possible requires a level of uncertainty and a tolerance of uncertainty. And in my Facebook post, I also shared, this is certainly true. Think about all the times that you prepared to do something. Maybe you were practicing the piano. You were preparing for a track meet. You were learning how to ride a bike. You were learning how to walk. Knowing behind that preparation that it was possible to play the piano well. It was possible to win my track meet. It was possible, ... And that required tolerance to uncertainty. But behind all that, behind the possibility was the belief. The belief that I know I can play the piano. The belief that I know I can do my event in track well. He occasionally listens to this. So one of my sons has always been one who is curious, a high element of curiosity. And in that curiosity, he wants to know how things work. He wants to know how something happens. And he is a prime example of tolerance of uncertainty. I will give you an example of something. Let's use track. So when he was in middle school, he started track and he ran the hurdles. He hated the hurdles. He hated the hurdles because the hurdles would hit his knees and I wasn't quite tall enough. One of the interesting things about my three sons, my husband and I, is, with the exception of one of them, and he is not the one, our inseams are all the same. But I'm nearly 5'3". My husband is 6 feet. My oldest son is just below 6 feet. My youngest son, the one I'm speaking about, is around the same height as that oldest son. And it's my middle son who has a different inseam, but the rest of us have the same inseam. So the problem with my son running hurdles was his gait was probably not quite long enough. But he looked around at all of the track and field events. And the one he wanted to do was long jump and high jump. High jump entered his brain first. I want to do that. So do you know what this kid did? He did what he's done with everything that he got curious about and wondered about. He asked that question first. I wonder. I'm curious. Is it possible? And then he started watching YouTube videos to learn about the people. So he watched Dwight, and I can't think of his last name right now. He was the Olympic champion back when I was around my youngest son's age. So he would watch him and his high jumps and how he did those high jumps. And he wanted to do high jump. So he started doing high jump in 8th grade. And then he did it in 9th grade. And then he did it in 10th grade. And then he did it in 11th grade. And then he did it in 12th grade. Always up leveling what he had done before. And then he added long jump to it for the very same reason. And again, he would go to YouTube and watch the videos and learn about it. Well, this young man has a college degree, had a fabulous job, but he didn't like the job. So just hold that in your mind. He didn't like the job because of one element. He liked the people. He liked the concept and idea, but there was way too much traveling for him. He wanted to, and this is a little bit of ADD, he wanted to be able to explore other things too. He didn't want to be living, breathing, and eating that job 24/7. As I've watched him journey down this path, this is where that question, you're not too late for your own life, started to show up for me. So he made the decision after he injured himself, doing another thing that he was curious about and learned about and took up, which now he loves. It is his passion. He decided to walk away from that job. And he had enough savings that he says, hey, Mom, I've got enough savings. I can probably go about a year without having to work, which gives me time to explore things. Well, about 5 years ago, my husband and my son, we purchased a boat together, a sailboat, because Noah loves to sail. We took the kids on a sailing trip many years ago, and that element of being out on the water and going fast and heeling over and having to control it based on the wind. Now, my son is an engineer at heart. That's what his degree's in, and deep down inside, he could have also been a physicist, the studying the hows and the whys, the curiosity element. Well, he found a job at a boat shop. And while sometimes it's very tedious, he gets to be near the water. He gets to be near boats. He gets to learn about boats so that he can work on our boat. And, that didn't 100% pay the bills. So he's doing a second job as well. But the idea is he was not afraid to say, this is not my life. I need to go out and find my life. Now, probably because I am his mother and my husband is his father, where we have allowed the kids to explore and to play and to experiment and to not feel like they have to be put into the box of practicality and responsibility. Unlike me and my husband, we were both put in that belief system of, oh, you can't do this over here because you need to go and find a responsible job so you can make money. And, my youngest son is making money and can pay his bills doing what he's doing and having the time of his life. And he's only 27. I was so locked into what I thought was going to be my life at that age that I believed there was no other possibility. There was no other path. Even though at the core of my essence, I was not happy. I was not enjoying it. I did not enjoy getting out of bed in the morning to go and do the job I was doing. And yet, I did that job for another 9 years. I took 6 years off to have babies. And then I went back to doing it. Because of the belief around practicality and responsibility. I wonder if we all flipped a switch and turned that belief into what lights me up, and that would have me springing out of bed in the morning to go do it. So some of the people that I have worked with as a coach, that is the question that I ask. There's a level of grief that comes in because they really, really, really wanted to do something. And a well-meaning teacher, parent, relative, friend shot it down. Lesson number 1 is listen to what we say when someone is sharing a vulnerable part of who they are. Ask questions first. Ask questions first. I pause on that because I know as I sit here and I say this, I think about the moments in time where a well-meaning parent or teacher or friend said something to me and had me go a different way than what I wanted to. And it had to do with belief, understanding of the world that we lived in. So I have for you, before we're done today, 9 gentle reminders. If you are wondering if change is possible, and this is where I need my notes because I don't want to miss any of them. I really spent some time around this, actually on Sunday, which was my birthday. I really spent some time on this because I thought, huh. Well, the first one is, it is possible to begin again. And I encourage you to go back to last September's episodes and look for the one where I actually entitled it, I think, Beginning Again. And my guest was Pam Miles, my daughter-in-law's mother, and her reimagining her life after she had accomplished something that she worked really hard to and realized it was not the right path. It is possible to begin again. The second gentle reminder is that your dreams are not foolish because they keep coming back. So one of my biggest dreams, I'm sharing a vulnerable piece here. One of my biggest dreams is to own a space. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but to own a space that can be a safe space for people to come and be themselves. I would like there to be an element of theater and storytelling and dance and music and martial arts and writing and play of all sorts. That is a dream I have had since I was 10 or 11. And every time that I find myself in a situation where I don't feel comfortable, I don't like what I'm doing, it doesn't feel right, that dream returns. And I think it's a God wink, to be honest with you. The third gentle reminder is working so hard to the point of exhaustion is not the same thing as fulfillment. On Sunday, which was my birthday, my husband had a concert. He's a drummer. He plays with a couple of large musical organizations. And the particular concert he was playing on Sunday, he was playing one piece. It was 4 minutes long. And he thought, and he said, I'm not sure that you're welcome to come and I will sit in the audience with you, but I don't know if you want to do that or not for your birthday. Well, one of my former cast members, a young man who's now in high school, middle school, high school, had a show on Sunday. And I decided that that's where I wanted to go because it was about watching someone lean into the possibility of their dream. And this young man is talented, would like to be an actor professionally when he grows up, and he's 14. And so I went to support him. And, I said to him, I said, so how are you? It was the end of Tech Week. It was the end of the weekend's performances. He has a couple days off before, the next performance. And he said, I'm tired, but I'm loving it. And then I found out that he'd been cast in something with one of the semi-professional regional theaters. And a friend of mine's taking his headshots this week. And he's just so excited. That's fulfillment. When I had reached the level of training and development director for a chain of department stores, and I was exhausted from writing training programs and launching them with much resistance. I had much resistance coming at me from the stores. I was exhausted, but I was not fulfilled. Creating the programs was quite fulfilling, but the launch of the programs was not fulfilling because of the pushback. And I was exhausted. I wanted to quit. That's the difference. Maybe you have a hobby that you feel so fulfilled for and it makes you tired just because of what you're doing, the repetition or whatnot. But you're not exhausted and you feel like there's a level of joy that uprises when you do that. That's fulfillment. Wanting more from life. This is the fourth one. Wanting more from life does not make you ungrateful. We can be very grateful for what we have. But seeing what we have and going, but I want more of this. That's not being ungrateful. That's leaning into a desire to have more fulfillment, perhaps. To know that there's a possibility to have more, and maybe that's your dream. So those are all very tied together. The fifth one, and this one I wholeheartedly believe, and you can define this first word in whatever manner that you want, but creativity is not frivolous. It is life-giving. Remember, you were created. We are created. If you believe in a God they created, creativity is not frivolous. It is life-giving. So what are elements of innovation or creativity that you're drawn to? Maybe it's as an audience member. Maybe it is as an observer. Maybe it is as a voyeur of that creative element. But that's creativity, and it's not frivolous. And in fact, it is life-giving. It sparks new ideas. It sparks interest. The sixth one. Your body often knows before your mind catches up. Oh, this is so true. little tinglings in your body at an anticipation of or by witnessing. And then all of a sudden, the aha happens. Some people in the world that I function in the world of theater or arts or even coaching and intuition and spirituality, it is, we call it a download. You throw a question out there that your body wants an answer to. And then it comes. And your mind catches up. And you're like, oh, wow, aha, I got it. 7, there is wisdom in longing that you keep trying to silence. There is wisdom in the longing you keep trying to silence. Remember that one. It took me 55 years to understand that one. More on that on another show, but yes. Number 8, you are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. And in fact, the person I was when I got out of bed this morning is not the person I am right now. We are constantly growing and moving forward. And if we are not, we will stagnate and die. Embracing the growth is important. And number 9, it is never too late to become more fully alive. So those 9 gentle reminders. 9 gentle reminders. If you are wondering if it is possible to begin again, because it is not too late for your own life. Well, that is my message for today, and as is the case for the last couple of weeks. If you want to explore more of this around the idea of reclaiming your essence, who you are, who you were meant to be. Maybe you're feeling tired and burnt out at work. Maybe your relationships seem to be more stress and tension than they are calm and loving. It might mean that you need to take a pause for a moment, even if it's just 30 minutes. So I invite you, as I have the last couple of weeks, to a 30-minute space where you do not have to do anything but show up. There will be an opportunity to ask questions, but it's not necessary. So Saturday morning between 8:30 and 9 a.m. Pacific. If that is something you would like to participate in, I will add it to the show notes. And you can click on that to reserve your space. It is absolutely free. I am not charging a penny for this because what I know about the world that we live in right now, there are not enough spaces for a person to just show up and turn off. To quiet the mind, quiet the body, and allow, hold on, let me get to the one belief that it is, to allow the wisdom in the longing to arise and to be heard. A space where your dreams can be realized and acknowledged. A space for it to be possible for you to see how to begin again. So I welcome you to join me on Saturday morning. And as I said, I will add this to the show notes. I wish you all a blessed Wednesday, and I will see you next week. Namaste.